This podcast is brought to you by Day Soul Coffee Lab out of Birmingham, Alabama. Y'all, I consider myself a coffee connoisseur. Absolutely love coffee, and I found what I believe to be the absolute best coffee out there. With Day Soul Coffee Lab, you can be sure to get coffee that's super smooth and always fresh roasted. Some of the best, if not the best coffee you'll ever drink. So swing over to the website, daysoulcoffeelab.co, and use promo code LOWDOWN to get 20% off your order for a limited time. They even have a subscription option where they'll deliver coffee directly to you every month. Guys, it's a no-brainer. If you're going to drink coffee, you might as well make it great coffee. So big shout out to them. And guys, it's time to get it popping.
They pop crowd. They pop corn. They pop culture. It's the Lowdown with Shane and Elliot.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest installment of the Lowdown Popcast. My name is Elliot. I am the self-proclaimed voice of PCW. And alongside of me is my good friend, founder of the hottest wrestling promotion in the Mid-Atlantic, the New York's greatest export, the Shane event, Shane Dorr. Shane, welcome
to our show.
That's right. Welcome to our show.
Welcome to our show. Man, I tell you what a great week.
Dude, it's been a great week. It's been fun. Ton of stuff to talk about tonight. We got some Ring of Honor stuff. We got some AEW stuff. We got SummerSlam. We got
WWE. Come on, we're actually going to talk about WWE.
We got 14.6 million reasons to talk right now.
Oh,
but before we get into popping crowds, popping corn, and popping culture, we have a very special guest with us. He is the former co-owner and referee at Flatline Pro Wrestling, the former referee for PWX Premier Wrestling Experience. He is the current senior referee at VPW Viral Pro Wrestling, current senior referee at PCW Palmetto Championship Wrestling, current referee at MLW Major League Wrestling. From Augusta, Georgia, he can be followed on Instagram and Twitter at Referee Wiggins and on TikTok at Ref Wiggins. He had a stash so beautiful and sweet, it became his own brand. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Ref Stache Chris Wiggins.
That is the best intro I have ever heard.
You're welcome.
Like, you nailed it. You nailed it.
Man, I need an intro like that. Oh, this is the Shane event. He's here.
Shane Dorr.
That was amazing. Seriously, this is absolutely one of the most amazing people, amazing officials. Just one of my favorite people I've ever met.
He's just a good person.
I can't think of it. There's not enough good adjectives, positive adjectives in the dictionary to describe this man.
Great.
Well,
stupendous. And I mean it. He's blushing on camera, folks, but I do mean it. He's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Chris, welcome.
thank you. All I can think of right now is just, gee, GARSH. I feel so special.
GARSH, Maxie.
So,
yeah,
like for real. So, I'm glad he brought that up so early because that's been pissing me off since I ever heard it. What is that? That is supposed to be me imitating. Like, I guess I do that.
GARSH?
Supposedly, according to Chris Wiggins.
No, allegedly, according to somebody at Palmetto.
Wait.
It was at a show. And
stop while you get ahead, Chris.
Somebody had said it. And
who's somebody? This is transparency.
I don't know. It was probably, I don't know. It could have been Ethan, Dave. Could have been, I don't know, Fluffman. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but originally I defended you and said, like, I've never heard Shane ever say that in my life. And then you said it out of just being funny. on purpose. It's kind of like in Hotel Transylvania. Like, I don't say blah, blah, blah unless I'm saying.
You don't say blah. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what he was doing. And then I just think it's funny because I know it's just one of those it's that little moment that we have where you're just like, oh, but I'm not mad at you.
It's kind of like when I hug him in front of his wife and I rub my face against his face just to get a reaction.
Okay, that doesn't happen, folks.
Of course it does.
No.
Every show.
Every show.
So, GARSH. Okay.
Yeah.
GARSH.
You guys are out of control.
Yeah.
We're 30 seconds into this interview,
boy.
And all right. Anyway, back to more things important, Chris. So, Chris, walk us through. Tell us about your dive into the wonderful world that we all know as professional wrestling. How to begin? Where did the passion start?
Wrestling.
So I will give you the speeded up version because it is so long. Most people will sit there and they had this specific match or the specific moment in time where they were like, oh, I've been watching wrestling since, Mankind got thrown off the cage, or, I saw, Hogan slam Andre. Well, I don't know what match it was. I don't know what day of the week it was, but I know that I was 2 years old. And my grandfather on my dad's side was watching me, had it on television. So I imagine it was probably Georgia Championship Wrestling or some sorts. And he just had the story where he was laying on the couch and he was just feeding me pudding. And I would turn around, I'd watch the show the whole time. And then when I wanted more, I'd just turn around and he would just give me another scoop and we'd go. So I'm a third generation wrestling fan. Gus is known for the Bell Auditorium back in the old NWA days. Our big glory moment is the 24-hour championship reign of Tommy Rich. And so just growing up around it, it was a way for my dad and I to bond. And I always wanted to be in professional wrestling. And then I realized that Doctor, he screwed on me. That's the PG version, as what Cody Rhodes would say. I'm trying to keep it down. I was supposed to be like 6'2", 6'3". My dad's 6'4", 250 pounds. My mom is like 5'1". And so I'm 5'9". And I realized really quick, like, I'm not going to be – but I'm not a WWE guy size. So but I wrestled in high school, and I did the whole backyard wrestling thing. Thankful for me, I found the right backyard wrestling company because it eventually turned into an independent company known as Flatline Championship Wrestling, not to be confused with Flatline Pro Wrestling. But so that's kind of how I got into independent wrestling. I learned how to wrestle by watching Tough Enough. And then I learned a lot on the road. The guy who was supposed to train me was training me in the back of a local community center with like 4 or 5 other guys on just gym floor mats. And then just one day he quit showing up. And thank goodness we didn't pay him anything at the moment. We had an agreement that we were going to get trained for free and wrestle for him for X amount of shows to kind of pay back the money for training. And but I learned more just being on the road and riding my little circle, and decided to get like a career and become a fireman. So wrestling kind of took a back burner for a couple of years. And then in that process, Flatline Championship Wrestling closed down. And I was like, okay, cool. No more wrestling. I'm just going to be a fireman. And I ran into a guy named Daniel Main, who was the owner of Flatline Championship Wrestling, along with another guy. And we joked about it. It's like, hey, let's open up another wrestling company. 2 months later, we bought back the ring that we originally had, and we were working on it, and we couldn't come up with a name. And I said, look, there's nothing we could do that people are going to say, hey, you have Chris Wiggins, you have Daniel Main. This is definitely Flatline Championship Wrestling. So let's just change it to pro wrestling, just so it's different. At least say we're a little different. So 2012, August, we did our first show, and we drew somewhere between 150, 175 people. And the whole time we ran from August of 2012 to March of 2016, we never brought in a former WCW wrestler. We never brought in a former WWE wrestler, NWA. No major name. It was always indie guys. So we had Caleb Conley. We brought in Cedric Alexander. We put ourselves on the market enough to where Sabu reached out to us.
Wow.
And came in and did a free signing before he took off on a tour to Japan. And we had tons of phone calls from tons of people, but we were drawing on average 175 people to, at one point, 500 people. And we ran monthly. And it was a lot of fun. I got to meet a lot of cool people. That's how I met Anthony Henry, JD Drake. That's how I met Ethan Case. And that's how I met Cody Fluffman, Shawn Legacy, all these guys that are a part of my life on a regular basis. That's how I got to meet them. And we took the Jerry Seinfeld approach and decided to leave on top. We started seeing county politics starting to play a huge role into our business. And we liked, I'm ADHD, so I have part of OCD, so I like to have control over everything. And at that point, I was like, look, we're going to need to search for a new venue. And we just decided, hey, let's take a hiatus. And then it was like, man, we've been busting our tail for 4 years. This break is pretty good. And I'm thankful for it. It was a great project for my wife and I to work on together. And it allowed me to become a referee in professional wrestling because I decided to take a back burner and, took to heart what Triple H said at one time. He said a guy who's running his own company and to be successful at running a professional wrestling company, he wasn't going to be able to wrestle full time. And so I was like, all right, cool. I'm just going to take back burner. I'm going to run the show. And then I realized I need some really good referees because I'm bringing in top tier caliber talent, but I'm not having referees on a regular basis. So I took a stab at it, and here we are.
So with Flatline, obviously I wasn't in, well, you said you ended in 2016. So I was barely getting started with PCW. So knowing how PCW is, and I'm Palmetto Championship Wrestling here in Columbia, and to Flatline, do you see any similarities at all, or is it? I'm curious, from your perspective.
I will say, when I first started coming to PCW and over the evolution of time, I could see
from the Blythewood show,
from Blythewood, moving forward to now. It's the same concept. It was like the same beginnings that we had in the early Flatline days. And it was the vision. If we continued on with what we wanted to do, we were going to take the same model that is ran for PCW now, opening up its own academy and having that as a pipeline to feed our own talent. Being different from South Carolina and Georgia, we don't have to have all the licenses and right. events and stuff like that. So we had a little bit other visions we wanted to do with having like our own building and own training facility, open up, do like a Friday night fight night for like $5 show or whatever, just have surprise show, pop-up shows, stuff like that. But I see a lot of the same lightning in a bottle that we had, the thing that you can't recreate, like it's either you have it or you don't. And every lightning in a bottle is different. And it's something that people will constantly tell us, hey, bring back Flatline, bring back Flatline. I'm like, look, as much as I would love to, because I would love to have the same guys and, bring back those memories for some of those fans and create new memories and new moments. We would just be chasing something that just doesn't exist anymore because we've all grown. I mean, look at Anthony Henry's traveling the United States. He's on AEW. He was on Ring of Honor. JD Drake traveling the United States. They're both traveling the world at times, and they're both on Ring of Honor, AEW. It's just, it's hard to get those guys back and find schedule to book them on a solid time like we did back in the day. And those guys were like the pillars of our company at the time. So PCW is definitely taken. I'm not going to say they stole our vision because we weren't talking, so you didn't know what our vision was. But if I had my hands, if I was still in the wrestling business and still booking and still promoting, PCW is exactly what I would be doing.
And it's so crazy because who was the backbone of PCW? James Drake. It's ironic. It's very weird, but maybe it's not ironic. It's just speaks to his.
Fate.
It just speaks to his. It's a testament to his ethic and his work ethic. And I mean, I kid you not, I was calling that man a workhorse before workhorseman was even coined. I always referred to him as the workhorse of PCW because like there was a period of time, a good year and a half, where this company was on his back. Like he carried it. And if it wasn't for James Drake, I dare say PCW wouldn't be around.
Yeah.
So it was guys like James Drake that the first 2 years of Flatline, we had our core group guys that we were using all the time. And then I contacted another wrestlers like, hey man, I need some fresh, I need some guys who don't live in Georgia, because Georgia wrestling, it's the same circle of guys for decades. And he called, he's like, I got a group of guys coming in from North Carolina, and he was one of them. The things that he was doing, the one story that I loved that my wife loves telling, because my wife did photography around the ring, and she was always trying to get the moonsault, and she could just like the first handful of times she could never get it. And they eventually had this like mental connection, and then Drake would sit on the top rope and he would just give her that look of like, okay, I'm getting ready to go now. So get ready to take that picture. And then from that moment on, James, he'll tell you all the time. It's like, oh, I don't care too much for Chris Wiggins. This is his wife who I really like. And he just kind of comes with it. But it's guys like him, somebody who I don't really get to bring up that much because he's not traveling all the time. And, WWE doesn't like saying his name, is D.A. Brewer. And if it wasn't for D.A. Brewer, I don't think I would have had one of the biggest matches I ever had in my life, where we drew 500 people, and it was supposed to be my last match ever, but Anthony Henry got one more out of me. But we did a cage match, and from there on, Brewer, he was a top guy for us for a couple of years. And so if it wasn't for guys like Brewer, Jacoby Boykins, those guys that were constantly coming in and just busting tail, because we just didn't do, just matches. It was like we worked on promo skills. We did storylines. We did video production. We had 2 video walls. We were constantly, filming stuff backstage. And like Rob Killjoy, he'd never done a backstage like vignette, like a scene. He's always done his promos in the ring. But I remember the time it was like, hey, we're going to film this backstage. This is what we need from you. He's like, I've never done one of these before. And it's like, well, you're going to learn. Let's go. That's what it's all about. Our idea was a mentality that I took from Paul Heyman from Beyond the Mat is I can't compete with all these companies that either been around for a long time or that have money. So I'm going to try to get the best talent I can. I'm going to hide people's weaknesses the best I can, and I'm going to insinuate the positives. So like guys like Anthony Henry who could wrestle, I let him wrestle all the time. If he was on the mic, it was very short because that wasn't at the time. Character development was the thing we were working on. But then we had guys like Adrian Davis, who is, a random name, but he was a pillar for a hot minute for us because had a lot of good comedy spots. Couldn't wrestle the best, but he was good enough in the ring to get over, to get a match. It was like, okay, this guy's not going out doing 30-minute matches, but he can do a nice, 45-second to a minute and a half promo backstage and get over with the fans. So that's kind of what we constantly did.
Adrian Davis, he was with the PCW to the beginning. He had that gamer gimmick.
Yep.
And it worked. Like it's at the time, we're trying to, build a rapport, so to speak, with the fan base at the time. And it just appealed. We had a lot of kids, and the gaming thing worked. I mean, so like, my thing is if you're getting a reaction out of somebody, you get a reaction being booed or cheered, you're proving your worth. So
absolutely.
I had no issue with Adrian Davis.
No, so it was a solid guy to have around. It was good. I got tons of backstage stuff that I watched from time to time that pops up in my Facebook memories of Flatline.
I catch a lot of your stuff on YouTube, man. Like, I go down the rabbit hole on YouTube and like I'm watching one thing and then it's like, you may like this. And then it's always a Flatline something with Flatline. I'm like, you know what? I probably will like this. And I watch it. So it was the last one was actually an Anthony Henry match versus it was somebody way bigger than him. I'd have to go back and look. It was I wouldn't imagine that being a match, but it was somebody that towered over him. It was really entertaining.
Let's fast forward, Wiggins. So you've talked about your time at Flatline and everything. We've talked some about PCW. Then you were with PWX, Pro Wrestling Experience, and recently you have been a lot with MLW. So tell us about your time with MLW, how it's been, what's some things that you've experienced that may or may not have caught you off guard. Is there anything that has caught you off guard? Is there anything that you're like, holy crap? Has anything become? Is anything that been like awestruck that you're like, man, I'm really in this moment right now?
Doing the show in Charlotte at Grady Cole was my first PWX show. Frankie G, I met. I call him Frankie G because I'm going to butcher his last name. I don't ever want to say it. Gastineau. I always want to call it Gastino or something silly. But Frankie G, greatest hair in the business.
Absolutely.
Super nice guy. I met him at PWX probably like 3 or 4 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. My first stint of PWX. And it goes back to this thing that as long as you're a good human and you just kind of, put things out into the universe that's supposed to be out there, the universe will give it back to you. And he hit me up out of nowhere. It's like, hey, MLW is going to be in Charlotte. Are you up for it? And absolutely. Like, I remember watching MLW, when it first came out after, ECW closed and whatnot. And so I've been a huge fan of it for a long time. And I felt like it was something also that I was really missing was that TV thing, TV experience. Because I know a lot of people sit there and say, it's like, oh, you're streaming. And so you're doing the same thing. If you're doing live, internet pay-per-views, it's the same deal as like streaming television or, filming television or even doing a couple other things. But it's a different thing when you walk outside and you see the big truck and you see the monster cables. It's like, this is not iPay-per-view. That was kind of a moment where I was like, okay, this is what's up. This is where I was at. The starstruck moment for me was when I got on the plane to fly to Dallas. And then I was actually like, oh, this is my first WrestleMania that I've been to, that I'm actually not going to WrestleMania, that I'm going to actually work a show.
Is that the famous image with you going out the airport doors that Casey took?
Yes. She took that picture as I was going into the airport, getting ready to leave. And that like, I use that picture a lot because there's something that Ethan Case pushed on me for years, and I never really opened my ears to, and it was betting on myself.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing things at age 36 that most guys do in their 20s, betting on themselves, getting out there, taking those drives. My flights aren't always paid for. My hotels aren't always paid for. And thank goodness, like, I have family and friends that kind of understand that I'm making some of those sacrifices and don't make fun of me like the outside world, will do, because like, we don't want to, the wrestling business is so different from any other business that most people don't understand it. But MLW being in Dallas, being surrounded by so many people and just being like in the middle of it and going, okay, this is what I'm here to do. This is what I was meant to do. Like, it just was that extra boost of confidence. There's only 3 things that I know that I'm really good at in life. Being a fireman and driving a fire truck, being a dad, and being a referee. Those are things that I'm ultimately confident in. And so being able to do it on another level and being able to do it with high caliber talent, like it's not like a normal indie show where you got half the roster is good, half the roster is kind of getting their teeth wet and just kind of getting in there and just trying to figure their thing out. It's literally everybody on the show is good because it's WrestleMania weekend and everybody's showing out. And I think that's just kind of the big thing for me. I think the question I'm getting a lot from as far as MLW goes is what happened in that spot with Microman and TJP and the other luchadors, and they're just like, you're just standing there for like this hot minute, like what was going on, like how did you not laugh? And I was just like, I had no idea what was going down. And I was like, this is the coolest little thing ever, and this is wrestling, and I'm part of it, and this is probably going to be a gift that I'm going to be a part of. And then I was like, oh, I got to get back into the spot and be a ref and stop being a fan. But that happens from time to time.
It's a good thing.
It's a good experience for me. I thrive in chaos. And when you're taping, whether it's taping to be edited later for YouTube or for beIN Sports Network or, like AEW Dark, any of that stuff, like there's still that extra, hey, we could go back and re-edit all this stuff, but you want to nail it the first go around. You don't want to mess up. You don't want to have to get the video editor to do more work to, edit your silly spot out. But I've learned some things. I've met some nice people up there to explain to me about what not to do. Some things that I was like, okay, this is exactly what I'm supposed to do. Like, oh, no. Like you can do that on the indie level, but here you have to do it this way. And it's like, well, that's just because that's the way MLW likes it. But if you go to AEW, they like it this way. If you go to WWE, they like it this way. You go to you go to Impact, and just knowing that every company is different. But just having that knowledge, that experience, being able to write that down on my resume and say like, hey, I'm getting TV experience now. Yeah. And hopefully that'll get me to the next level.
So I'm going to be biased here. I think in this part of the world, you are undoubtedly the best professional wrestling referee I know. I mean, you have, and it's true. I mean, it's not just me being biased. It's you have a great look. You have you have the good facials. Your ring presence is always on point. You know where to be, when to be, and why you're there. So with that being said, what are a couple other referees that come to mind that maybe on that same level as you are, that are working the scene right now? Not somebody that's like in WWE, but what are some referees that are out there that you definitely attribute that you're on the same level, or the same level as you?
Frankie G, definitely. Frankie G should be signed. He should be somewhere. He's definitely put the work in. He's consistent, and he's an asset because he does more. Like referees on paper, and to people who don't value their company or value what they're trying to accomplish, just think as referees, the guys can put a shirt on, go out there and count 3 or count to 10, whatever. But referees have such a more responsibility, and Frankie G has shown me that there's way more responsibility than just making sure that we get talent from point A to point B. It's like making sure that the ring is up to par with the way it looks, making sure that the event is set up exactly how it's supposed to be. You're everywhere. You are the worker bee or the worker ant of the company that people overlook. You're like one of the first people there, and usually you're one of the last to leave.
Now who's Frankie G with?
Frankie G, he was with AEW. Okay. He's been with Ring of Honor. He does PWG, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. Where isn't Frankie G at? He's before AEW, he was everywhere, and now he's where he wants to be. Cool. He's the lead ref for MLW right now, but most recently he's done work with like PWG. He trains with Natty Neihart and TJ constantly. Guy's constantly working, and this is what he does for a living. For him to be out there, doing what he's doing and not be doing it full time under a contract anymore is a little upsetting. And hopefully he'll get back to that point. Kevin Pierce is a workhorse.
Oh,
PWX.
Where is
with PWX? New Japan, Deadlock Pro. That's DPW is killing. That's another company we need to put over because I've worked 3 shows now with them. And
where'd they come from?
I wish I could give you the honest answer. I'm not 100% sure. I just started seeing a lot of people that I know work for them. And then I saw guys from MLW work for them. And
listen, I
asked Bojack and I was like, hey, how do I even find out who runs this place? And they're like, just show up.
So
it's a lifestyle, man. It's crazy. They have their own, like, I'm not going to say they have their own following. They are top. I don't want to be the one. So when I ran Flatline, I didn't want people to know who owned the company because I didn't want to be bombarded all the time with all the stuff. So that's why I'm like, don't ask me the question who owns it. I don't want to put that info out there because I know the struggles of being a promoter and being a booker. And I also know the struggles of being a talent trying to get in touch with a booker and a promoter. And I went through those struggles to get on a DPW. They are 5 hours away from my house. And I drove the 5 hours twice to make sure that I could get on that show, and it paid off. And I enjoyed it. Like I pulled the people who book the show and run it and own it. And they do a phenomenal job. It gets better and better every time. The last show that they did at this armory was amazing. It was so much fun.
Man, I always go. I mean, their graphics are on point. Their video work is phenomenal. And man,
here's what I'm amazed by. They did come out of nowhere. Their social media Facebook page is 7 months old and has 13,000 likes. Hello, I need to know what the heck's going on here. Something's in the water. As I still call it Dreadlock Pro because that's
Bojack country. Yeah, that's right.
I still call it Dreadlock Pro.
Dreadlock,
I probably always will.
Machine.
But,
yeah, they I'm not going to make myself look silly and give you all the stuff because I don't have all the answers. Every show I'm finding more and more information about the business side of DPW, and the locker room is great. They're bringing in talent from all over the world.
Yep,
literally all over the world.
What was the next show? Believe the Hype? That's upcoming. August?
It's the first weekend of August.
Yeah, hello. Diego Hill versus Dante Martin. Hello.
Dive bomb. Diego Hill.
Like, what in the world?
Look, all I'm saying
I love
is it. They have their own streaming service.
Yes, they do. It's amazing.
And yes. Cruel versus Colby Carino. The video footage is not going to do it justice, but being there live and watching that match, I love DCW. I loved hardcore wrestling. I'm not a huge death match guy. I will watch it. It's just not my cup of tea.
Right.
These guys, it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. I'm not even going to spoil it because it needs to be seen. To watch it in person, which I was just like, this is insane. These guys are crazy.
Those are actually two people that I'm salivating at the thought of them ever in PCW. Logan, whatever, Logan,
Mads Kruger,
yeah.
Cruel. I don't know what I don't. They could be two different people. I don't know. He could have a twin. I don't know. But those two, I'm speechless at times because they're monsters.
Yeah.
They're monsters.
He's every
there's
6'10".
There's another guy who's a big monster that Viral has sometimes. I can't think of his name though.
No, it's Cruel.
Is that Cruel?
And yeah, that's Cruel. And him and Josh Cutshaw did a Monsters Ball match, and I was involved in that. And I at the end of the night, I couldn't imagine. I was just like, I just don't understand why you guys why two guys would want to do that. But they acted like it was everyday business. And I was like, well, I'm glad I don't wrestle anymore.
Oh, man, this is going to be fun.
That's another company that's out of Viral Pro Wrestling in Thompson, Georgia is another company that we just really haven't talked much about. I love Viral Pro Wrestling.
Look, DPW, okay, let's put this over a little bit, right? Because it's one of the next shows that I'm going to, besides Pro Wrestling Turbo. But this match right here, this match alone, the Workhorseman with Mason Miles
yep.
versus MDA, right? They're the tag team champions there with a mystery tag team partner. Come on. Right now, look, I'm an Anthony Henry guy. All right, everybody knows that. Anthony Henry played a huge part in me becoming a referee. He's the one that opened the door, kicked it down many times for me. I'm not doing it. I'm not saying this because I'm an Anthony Henry guy. I'm saying it because the guy deserves it. He owns it. I hate using the word deserve. He earned it. He should be signed right now as well. Him and JD should be signed. They should be IWE junior heavyweight champions in New Japan. But I can't. But the showing that he had a Ring of Honor, and we're going to go on a tangent hold, but just that match right there, and see Pro Wrestling Turbo, the Anthony Henry was just there. They had that's another huge company that's growing in South Carolina.
Fast.
South Carolina is a very hard place to run. Like to talk about wrestling, as a business itself, South Carolina with the commission is one of the hardest states to run because of the commission. A lot of people don't run because the wrestlers have to get licensed, the referees have to be licensed, everybody has to be licensed. Mm-hmm. So it's another variable that could cause a wrestler to flake out on you, to not be able to be part of your show for whatever reasons. But there's a lot of accountability on that. And you're not even talking about like what it takes to run the show itself as a promoter. And for Palmetto, for you guys to run Palmetto and for Pro Wrestling Turbo to be as young as they are, because a lot of people will look at it as like, oh, they've been running, they just celebrated like a 3 or 4 year birthday, but they run every other month. And so for them to be that strong every other month, that's a hard thing to do. And then to do it in Carolina, come on. Like this is a lot of things are happening in Mid-Atlantic and it's crazy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I'm happy to be a part of majority of the companies that are running in the Mid-Atlantic right now. It's funny. I'm a Georgia guy, but I run one show. I work one show in Georgia and that's it. I work in Viral. That's it. All the other shows that happen in Georgia, I don't even work for them. I work in North Carolina, South Carolina.
Now, Georgia is interesting. Like I always see like there's a lot of like bad taste in people's mouths with Georgia wrestling.
Yes.
Tell me about that. Tell us about that.
My personal experience.
Of course.
Anthony Henry was on the verge of quitting pro wrestling. I met him at a very small Georgia show, and he's from Augusta. So I saw him years before I even actually got to meet him, and I knew that he was good then. But he was getting ready to quit, and I told him, "Hey, man, like the show's 15 minutes from your house. Just work with me." Georgia shows are notorious for, especially Augusta, are notorious for trying to put on a really good show per se, but they end up falling flat with talent. They make this huge stink that they're going to put on this amazing show, and they don't bring the talent in like they're supposed to, or the talent flakes out on them, and then they end up drawing like 50 people. That was the Georgia, and then the companies would fold after like 6 months, and so that's the reputation that Georgia wrestling has for the most part, except for NWA Wildside, which eventually became Anarchy, and then a couple other ones that have just been around for a while. So fighting that stigmatism and that reputation, after the third show, Anthony was like, "Hey, this place is actually pretty cool. I think I'll stick around." And I'm man, I wish I would have known that because I would have put the belt on you right off the rip and let you take it to the moon. But he was like, "Oh, I'll do a couple shows," because he thought we were going to fall flat. And for us to draw 100 and something people without any major advertising. Facebook isn't as big as it is now. Like back then it wasn't as big. It was still big, but it's nothing to what it is now. And the wrestling world was not the shape that it's in either. especially not independents. But in my personal opinion, there's a lot of politics that involve Georgia wrestling. It's a lot of people having the fear to get out of Georgia, and they just stay where it's comfortable. And so it's like any other business. When you have stagnant, no positions ever open up. So you have no room for new blood to come in, new talent per se, especially with like WCW shutting down and, WWE opening up their own performance center and having their own, wrestling school or their own farm club. Essentially, they no longer needed, to have contracts with local independent companies in different states to feed them. So it was the same guys doing the same thing, the same big 2-3 guys main eventing every show. And so that's kind of what Georgia is. Nobody ever really gets out their comfort zone and moves on. Every now and then you get that, they got that 1 or 2, 3 people, maybe, Chip Day, Slim J. Slim J's just,
and Wild Side.
Yeah. I mean, he's a Wild Side days. I mean, but if you look at NWA Wild Side back then,
bro,
it's a whole different ball game because they had ties to WCW. They had ties to WWF. And then eventually when WCW closed, they had that tie. Bill Behrens had that tie to being part of NWA TNA, so there was all these avenues that you go through. But, as time went on, all that stuff kind of died down. Now you have some big companies that are constantly running some really good shows. Action is doing a good job now with IWTV. Southern Honor's killing it. And then Viral's killing it,
I love Gary Lamb.
Yeah, I've never met him, but watching him
post on Facebook,
not being afraid to open up his mind and just let it ride, the confidence and just the guy, from what I see, the guy is just so smart and business savvy and is just killing it, like in all aspects of his own life. He's definitely an inspiration to like entrepreneurship.
I love Gary Lamb. I've never met him. He's like the greatest person I've ever met. And he's a douchebag on social media, but he knows it. He embraces it. And by God, is he good. He is. And that is somebody I secretly like. Gary Lamb, just telling you, I watch everything he posts. I see how he posts things. I take a lot of things from, you were saying inspiration. I take a lot of inspiration from Gary Lamb. He's actually, when I had my shift in the way I promote, it's because of Gary Lamb. I've never told him that. Never told anybody that, but I love it. He's, kind of ruthless. I dig it.
Ruthless aggression.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you about to say?
I don't know what I was going to say.
Oh, well. But yes, Gary Lamb. So Southern Honor is another one that's absolutely amazing. Definitely some show I definitely want to check out.
Oh, man. It's good stuff.
I love Chris Wiggins, man. I do.
So Wiggins, what's next? Not who. Who's next? No, what's
next?
Or what's next? Or what are some of your aspirations?
Man. So, WWE always sounds great.
Sure.
But right now, after having long conversations with like Drew Adler, I call him my iron circle, like my little go-to of mentors. So talking to like Ethan Case and talking to Drew Adler and Anthony Henry and, talking to Amber and Stephanie, who are the better halves of Drew Adler and Anthony Henry. It's don't put these, you can make the goal, but don't overlook all the different steps. Sure. Because if you get so stuck on the goal, then you'll never actually make it there because you're overlooking the steps. Especially being an overthinker, I will think so far ahead and just create all these different things in my head. So it's, apply, constantly sending my stuff out, hoping to, I don't want to work everywhere. I don't have the time, the ability to work everywhere. I try to get as many reps as I possibly can. But unfortunately, like for the last couple months, I've been a little injured and rehabbing with Drew Adler and Stephanie. And so I've been missing out on going to PWA and learning how to be an actual leader and coach and deal with all the different things that come with being a leader and a coach. So it's really just get good reps in, work for good places, and be as good as a human as I possibly can be, because I learned every time I get into a locker room that it's not always about like what you do in the ring. If it wasn't for me trying to be the best person I possibly could be, I wouldn't be in MLW, because I wouldn't have built this, undercover relationship with Frankie, and just doing simple things of keeping up with wrestlers, cell phones or energy drinks, just try to get seen that way, and hopefully that it'll lead me to a tryout somewhere that could make this full time. I have a full-time career. I love being a fireman. It's done me well for 14 years. I have 18 more to go to fully retire, 18, 19 more to go to fully retire. I have no problem with doing that. But now I'm healthier. Physically, I'm doing better than I ever been before. And I feel like even at 36, age is just a number. And I feel like that I could go. I would love to be part of like Ring of Honor full-time or AEW full-time. Their schedule's a lot better. I wouldn't have to move to Orlando, but that's jumping way ahead of myself. Like I just get the tryouts, whether it's AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan, or WWE, get the tryout. I've applied. I've waited my time. I'm getting close to reapplying. Opportunity is not always there, but you just keep on trucking, keep on putting in front of me, just doing the best I can do with what I have. I'm not a young buck. No pun intended there, but I'm not a what do they call it, a spring chicken down here in the South? Is that what they would call it?
Elliot? Down here in the South. I heard that.
Yeah. I mean, that's, I don't say
I'm not, I mean, I'm just not that, so like, and when I say that, I don't mean it as like physically, I can't be there. I mean, obviously I can go in the ring. I can do shows, I Ironman shows. It's work. But at the end of the night, I'm still good to go. It's just the time. I have 2 kids. I have a wife.
Yep.
So I'm not able to go out every weekend.
Where life balance is different.
And do all those shows. Yeah, my balance is way different. So I have to take every opportunity. Shane, you were talking about it, like, is it quality versus quantity? And in some cases in life, depending on where you're at, you have to do quantity. So then that way you could get the quality. In my case, like I'm having to get as much as I possibly can, but every rep that I make, it has to be quality. I can't afford to, financially, physically, mentally, even with my time, like to do that and go out there and work for, a small show. And if I do work for a small show, there's a very particular reason why I'm working for that small show. It's either to have fun because I kind of need it that moment, or it's like I need more reps.
I had a similar conversation with Dave Foster a couple shows back, because he asked me why I don't announce anywhere else. And I just told him, I said, I probably could get picked up other places, but the places I'd like to get picked up, I believe I already have a good seasoned ring announcer. Places I wouldn't mind maybe working a show at here and there. It would be like AML. I know they have a guy who's great, who's been doing it for a while. Previously, PWX was one. Pro Wrestling Turbo, Viral. Viral's it's a good ways away, but if I could work it around my schedule, I wouldn't mind going and announcing there again. I've announced there before. It was fun. And I think now Deadlock is probably the places I would like to go in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia area. If the opportunity ever came now, but like you said, work-life balance is big. I'm real active at my church, being one of the leaders there. So it can get difficult, and sometimes I have two passions staring each other in the face. I have to decide which passion I'm going to go with in the moment. So I try and reserve my Saturdays for wrestling, my Sundays for church, and now I try and reserve my free time trying to push this podcast. That my goal is to hopefully one day be able to do this full time. So that's all I got.
Anything else there, Hoss?
And that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. And Mr. Miyagi's right. It's all about balance.
Wax on, wax off.
Anything else for Chris? We took up a good bit of his time tonight. Casey could come in there and be like, "Time's up."
Can you not do that?
Why?
The mics.
Was it loud?
The mics.
Anywho.
Yeah. Sound guy's getting really mad right now.
I'm an audio engineer. You did that last week. You did that a week or two ago when Adler was here. Adler had y'all were talking Billy Matt. No.
Definitely Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, I would say if it's a movie, with Adler, there's slim pickings, and it's usually it's either Adam Sandler movie or Step Brothers.
Ooh, that's a whole nother conversation.
We just become best friends. Yep.
There's so much room for activities.
Let's not get started on this.
Let's don't. I won't do it any justice. It's not my movie to do that to. So I love that movie.
I love movies, but I can't remember them.
I can.
Yeah.
Word for word if they're good.
I have certain ones that I can remember. And there's certain movies where I just remember certain lines.
Yeah, same.
Like Major League. I used to watch a movie every night for like 5 years straight because I loved it that much.
One of my favorite ones to quote is "Angels in the Outfield."
That's right.
I know it's got Danny Glover and oh my gosh, it's so funny.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It's hilarious. So many funny one-liners. And Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the Year is a good one.
Those two movies, I'm telling you. But.
Pitcher's got a big butt.
Yep.
Hey, pitcher! Oh, young Thomas Ian Nicholas. You know who that was? Thomas Ian Nicholas?
I'm assuming it was the kid from Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, he went into American Pie. Okay.
Funky butt loving.
But anyhow, Chris, I thank you so much. Not just for myself, but for joining us on the podcast. I mean, it was absolutely an honor to be able to get you on this podcast. So I appreciate you. Elliot appreciates you.
Oh, for sure.
We'll have to do it again.
I appreciate that stash too.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you guys.
The stash is its own guest.
To be honest with you, I owe a lot to both of you guys.
Oh, stop.
No, in all seriousness, because if it wasn't for PCW, there wouldn't be this. There wouldn't be a family reunion for okay. So this is the little thing. Okay, so Ethan Case,
yes, is
my brother-in-law, right? So I get to see my sister. I get to see my brother-in-law. I get to see my nieces and nephew, and I get to go do it at a wrestling show. My son comes.
Used to see his
it's a big it's a legitimate, when we say it's a family show, it's legitimate, a family reunion for me every month. I love it. And without you giving me the opportunity to be a ref there and having the opportunity for Ethan to come in and do his thing, we wouldn't be here. And then Elliot, he makes my life so much better being in that ring with me. And I will remember till the day I die him calling the Palmetto Classic.
The Palmetto Classic.
I'll never hear
it's Palmetto
the same.
It's Palmetto.
I'll never hear Palmetto. It's Palmetto.
It's definitely Palmetto.
Never heard it
It's not Palmetto. It's Palmetto.
Do you call it a?
Get it right,
do you call it a palm tree or a palm tree?
Two different words.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Palm is short for palmetto.
Wrong.
Why do you think it's called the Palmetto State?
This is a palm.
You're wrong. Yeah. See, Elliot had to think of a quick comeback. He's like,
Look at your
never
hand.
never
That's
thought
a palm.
about it that way.
But all right. I'll be the referee here. Legit. Like, okay, guys, just calm down.
Yeah, he's
It's okay.
disqualified.
You're a
Easy.
Yankee.
That was
You
easy.
don't count.
I'm not a Yankee.
You are.
I'm adopted
You're
Southerner.
from New York.
But guys,
You're a Yankee.
Chris Wiggins,
Jeez.
ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for joining us on the Lowdown Podcast.
Appreciate you, man.
yeah, I appreciate you guys.
We
for
love you,
real.
brother. We will see you. We'll see you in Camden.
August 26th.
August 27th.
Yeah.
27th. 27th.
I'm just ready.
27th. I don't know what to do with myself. I've had like 3 weeks off,
That Palmetto ring announcer.
but I'll be thankful. I'll be thankful.
We appreciate you, Chris Wiggins. Thank you for everything you do for Palmetto Championship Wrestling. Palmetto Championship Wrestling.
Yeah.
Emphasis on palm. And thank you for everything you continue to do in the beautiful business of professional wrestling. Ref Stache Chris Wiggins.
Palmetto Championship Wrestling PCW head official.
Senior official.
Head senior. Appreciate you, man. We'll see you.
I appreciate you guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, one last time. That was senior referee for Palmetto Championship Wrestling, referee for MLW, Ref Stache Chris Wiggins. We appreciate the time he took and everything, but man, we've got a whole lot more for this upcoming segment. We are about to pop crowds. And guys, I don't know if you've been following what's going on here in the great industry we like to call wrestling. But Vincent Kennedy McMahon has decided to finally retire.
Hallelujah.
And
Just kidding.
we tuned into Monday Night Raw last night, and Monday Night Raw on Monday, and it was it started off hot. It was almost one of those things that you immediately saw, where it felt like you could sense someone else was already out the Helmsley.
Haha.
See what I did there?
I did. I heard what you did there.
So, man, a lot of stuff. WWE Summerslam this week. Is WWE going to sell? Rumors are they may be selling. Their stock's gone up. I'll tell you that. And a lot more other stuff. So let's kick it off. Shane, we want to go ahead and hit WWE. Or we want to hit Dynamite. Fight for the Fallen first.
No, let's hit WWE, man.
Let's
give them a little credit. You know, they usually start with WWE, so I say let's do it.
Yeah. So this weekend we have WWE Summerslam. We ran through the card. Nothing's really changed on the card since we talked last week. But just to recap, you got Riddle versus Seth Rollins, Logan Paul versus The Miz, which is how they started off Monday Night Raw. Very hot. I'm liking Logan Paul. I'm liking what he's doing. The
crowd was cheering when The Miz beat him up.
Yeah.
That's not the result that they're wanting. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. You can definitely tell he's working.
So I noticed they were cheering him, but then he mentioned his brother Jake Paul, and people don't like his brother. And when he mentioned his brother, then suddenly the cheers went to jeers, but you then also have the WWE Tag Team Championship, which they just have it labeled as that. I'm assuming it's for both belts or unified or whatever they're calling it now. Special guest referee JEFFJARRETT, Jeff Jarrett with the Usos versus the Street Profits. You got any prediction for that? I think the Street Profits take it.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with the Street Profits. It's just I'm still not over the Jeff Jarrett thing. I'm not a fan, especially after Monday. The whole, I don't know. That has Vince McMahon written all over it.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, I'm gonna roll with the Street Profits. I think they're hot, man. I just think.
Speaking of Jeff Jarrett, I saw something today with him. It said Jeff Jarrett will be wrestling on SummerSlam, and then after SummerSlam, will be wrestling on Ric Flair's final match. Vince McMahon has retired. TNA won.
Global Force Wrestling.
GFW.
They win.
I thought it was funny. So you then have a United States Championship match between Bobby Lashley and Theory.
Theory's hot, bro.
So, question.
Answer.
Do these wrestlers who are having to just go by, I don't know, like half of their name, do they start going back by their full name?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think that's a change I could see Triple H implementing really quick. I think one of the dumbest things, and I get it from a trademark purpose. It makes sense. Obviously the talent probably wants to keep the rights to their names just in case something, they have to use it anywhere else.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a lot of subtle changes. Small thing. That's a small. I consider that a small change, but I think it has major.
It's small up front, but it's got major implications on the back end for sure.
Yeah. So I think we're going to see Matthew Riddle. I think we're going to see Austin Theory. The one names just don't do it for me. I mean,
Ricochet.
Well, yes. I mean, but
do we see Ricochet start having two gimmicks with Ricochet and Prince Puma?
Prince Puma. Yeah, I don't know, but I'm just not a fan of the single name, especially if you have like, I don't know. It's just dumb to me. It just seems like a unnecessary change.
Yep,
to rip their first names from them.
No, I agree. I totally agree with that. So you then have it's probably the match I'm looking forward to most on the night. For the brand, Pat McAfee looking to lay the smackdown on Happy Corbin.
Yeah, Pat's hot right now. He's it, man. I love Pat McAfee. I love his energy. He puts 110% of everything he has into what he's doing at any given time. There's no way Pat McAfee loses. No way.
Well, and Corbin, if you look at Corbin's, his past and everything, he's always been good about putting people over.
Oh yeah,
I love Corbin in the ring,
except Angle.
Well, I love watching Corbin in the ring. I don't like his gimmick right now, and we discussed this last show. I just much prefer his. I much prefer him just coming out and kicking tail.
He's more intimidating.
He's a big dude.
Remember when they did the homeless thing?
Yeah, I do.
That was pre Triple H, right? I think
the homeless thing was right before Happy Corbin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I think we'll see an end of days.
No, that was post Triple H.
Hmm?
You mean that? So remember, he was part of the Authority. Corbin was.
I'm talking about Triple H being head of creative.
Oh, I mean, everything's been before that.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying. So we're going to see some. I'm hoping we're going to see some drastic changes here. Give me end of days, Corbin.
Dude, I love that in the days.
Give me everything. Give me everything about it. What else we got on this card?
Man, we got Raw Women's Championship, Bianca Belair versus Big Time Becky Lynch. 26 seconds.
Revenge or no revenge?
Well, you know what? I wonder if they let Bianca get revenge. But, especially with, new creative at the helm.
So interesting about the creative thing. So the report did say today that that this past Monday was very much a Vince show still with some slight tweaks.
Yep.
But SummerSlam, there's been several changes made because of the game. So I'm interested to see what those changes might be. So everything we think that WWE would normally do, hopefully it's
I don't understand all the flack Triple H got with NXT.
What you mean?
I mean, because I read all over the interwebs, and people always talk trash about how Triple H ran NXT. And every time I watched NXT when Triple H was running it, I remember nothing but good things.
NXT was
great
brilliant.
Pay-per-views.
The color, black and gold, it was powerful. The only reason he gets flack is because he couldn't beat AEW. That's it. That's the only bad thing anybody could say, if you even want to call it a bad thing.
But I guess for me, in that same vein, though, he wasn't the one that chose to move it from Wednesdays to Tuesdays. Mm-hmm. And when they did choose to move it from Wednesdays to Tuesdays, they immediately removed him from being head of it.
Yep.
And then you got NXT 2.0.
Not a fan. I don't like the color scheme. I don't like the presentation. I don't like the hokiness. I'm not a fan.
I will say one thing I am a fan of when it comes to NXT 2.0. I like the venue, Darren. I think it looks good. It's much more... And, of course, you saw this with their black and gold brand, too, though, toward the end of it. Much more intimate atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely gives you an indie show feel.
Absolutely.
I'm a fan of that. But yeah, I agree. I'm not a fan of how they had the color scheme.
Presentation goes a long way with me.
Yeah. So
and NXT is just synonymous with that black and gold.
Yeah. I never forget the "We are NXT" from H. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, it was unbelievable, powerful, and it lost its luster. So I think I don't know. I think I just have such
high
hopes right now, and every time I've ever had high hopes, what happens though?
Do we now get a Finn Balor push for a WWE champion?
Well, he was WWE Universal Champion, right?
He was
the first one.
He was the first one. He broke his collarbone.
Mm-hmm. Never been back.
Never made it back. So, do we see him get a push?
Do we see
Big E get a push?
You see Big E in a ring again?
Yeah, with his neck.
Yeah, I mean that's he just said that he'd be okay if he never wrestled again. If it comes to it.
Yeah.
Prayers to Big E, to a speedy recovery still. But here's what I think you have to watch out for, man, is there are a lot of talent with Triple H at the front line that are ready to go back.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that's if you're Tony
Adam
Khan,
Cole, baby.
Yeah, that's if you're Tony Khan, you got to be a little nervous here. So what do you do if you're Tony Khan? It's already been reported that there's current AEW talent that said if Triple H was at the head before they left, they might not have left. Who could that be? Could that be FTR? Could that be Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Fish? It's one of those. It's got to be. If I'm Tony Khan, MJF better be
Bryan
locked
Danielson.
down. Very much could be.
Is it John Moxley?
Is it Punk? No, it's not Punk. Just kidding. Punk would never go back to WWE.
Is it John Moxley?
Very well could be. But the way I was reading it was a Triple H guy. So that makes me think it's an NXT talent. If I'm Tony Khan, man. Tony Khan, man. But if I'm Tony Khan, I don't know. MJF better be locked down. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I read a report somewhere where they said MJF is getting good money right now.
Well, I'm sure, but
no, I'm excited to find out if we finally get that WWE Cross
Invasion angle. It's the Invasion angle, 2001. We haven't had it in 20 years. I would. And remember what it was like seeing like Austin in the Alliance and wearing that WCW shirt and Booker T and the Radicals and all those guys jumping ship and coming over.
Now that was different because we all knew that WWF at the time, or no, it was the WWE. I don't remember. On WCW, we all knew that. But do you get something similar to the Forbidden Door? Do you see the Bullet Club or the Elite or someone show up in WWE, and then WWE guys who have been part of the Bullet Club side with the Bullet Club? I mean, there's just so many different things.
MJF would have to play the largest role because it is so like the writing is there. To use MJF as that pawn because nobody knows.
But then you have Cody, who
so good.
I'm just thinking you could use the angle of Cody where the entire time he was infiltrating WWE because he knew blah 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 whatever.
Just fantasy booking.
Oh man!
Or have it announced that WWE signed MJF, and then ultimately have MJF revealed to be AEW. He was like the infiltrator.
Sure.
Oh, there's just so many good things. I get all giddy and excited, man, but I'm reserved at the same time because it's the same old song and dance, but maybe a little different now. But we've done this countless times over the last 20 years.
What if Cody was actually still signed to AEW and nobody just knew about it?
Yeah, that was too good to be true. Hey,
he won an ESPY, man.
Congratulations, Cody Rhodes.
Cody Rhodes won an ESPY.
Absolutely. And for that big WrestleMania moment, man, because I saw it the first time I saw it. Watching that entrance live at WrestleMania, Cody Rhodes made that grand entrance from, ascended from the floor and the music and the lights and everything. His logo, his brand was perfect. And you weren't know how you thought about it until you watched it the second, the third time.
Yeah, I had to watch it a couple more times to get fan reaction.
That look, man.
I even went and watched the behind the scenes stuff too. But yeah, that debut was spot on. And for me, him debuting against Rollins they couldn't have picked a better opponent. What I don't like is the fact that they drug that out for four additional pay-per-views.
And on the road, live events. That's where they were working.
It's just like, come on.
Can't he wrestle anybody else? But, I mean, I guess down the rabbit hole. That's our thing.
So, all right. You then have...
Going back to SummerSlam, folks.
Also on the SummerSlam card, SmackDown Women's Championship, Liv Morgan versus Ronda Rousey. I think we see a Charlotte return here, causes Rousey the title. That's my thought.
Yeah, I think I definitely see Liv winning. I just didn't know how I saw it happening, but we know she's lurking in the background.
Yeah, she's due back anytime soon.
And I tell you,
Ric Flair's final match.
At some point,
when is Ric Flair's last match?
Is it July 23rd? I don't know why I keep wanting to say 20. No, today's game. That's the 20th.
Is it this weekend?
23rd. I'm living.
Or is it August?
Ric Flair's last match.
SummerSlam's on a Saturday this year.
July 31st.
So, yeah, SummerSlam's the 30th.
So that's Saturday. That's Ric Flair's
last
Sunday.
match is Sunday.
I can see Charlotte involved there.
Charlotte's showing. Yeah, Charlotte. I would say with that. That goes back to the Jeff Jarrett thing. That's what it was. He said Vince McMahon retires. Jeff Jarrett's in a match or is part of a match at SummerSlam. He's in Ric Flair's last match the day after. TNA wins.
Yeah, there's no way that there's no way Charlotte's not involved with only because Karen Jarrett's at ringside. Sure, there has to be an equalizer.
Yep,
and it's got to be a female. So that's my pick.
And last but not least, you have the WWE Universal Championship last man standing match. Last man standing.
Well, it's not last but not least. You got one more match. Forgetting one that was just announced. Judgment Day versus the Mysterios. And it's no disqualification.
So you going to lose an eye again?
I see. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
I see. No, but I'm okay with this. I like that it's been made no DQ. Dominic's come a long way.
Dominic has come a long way. Him and his mullet.
Did you say to him and his mullet?
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought you said him and his moment, and I was like, wait, he totally said mullet. This is a Dominic turn.
You think so?
Yes.
They teased it a couple weeks ago.
This is Dominic's turn.
Because he's, they Judgment Day about to do the concerto onto, no, you know what? No, I think Edge returns.
No, you could have both.
Edge returns.
Dominic could turn on Mysterio, and they all start beating on Ray.
Edge returns.
Yeah. Edge definitely involved here. Has to be. By the way, that promo on Monday Night Raw was really good. The new Edge promo. I'm assuming it's Edge promo.
Yeah, the vignette.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been doing those for a good minute. And they each time it's almost the exact same thing as it was before, but then they add more. It's like an extended trailer type of thing. But yeah, so that wraps up the SummerSlam card. This Saturday, bell time's at, well, they normally start around 7 or 8, right? Pretty sure it's 7, I think.
SummerSlam?
Yeah, I think it's 6 or 7 pre-show. And the next night of the weekend, you have what we just mentioned, Ric Flair's last match. And if you've never heard of Dragon Lee, listen, I'm going to tell you, you need to go ahead, make plans to order this pay-per-view from wherever you need to order it from.
Is it Fight?
We watched Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor this past Sunday, and for those who aren't aware, Dragon Lee is brother of Rush, who's part of Los
Ingobernables.
Ingobernables. That one. Ingobernables.
It's the Ungovernables in English.
Los Ingobernables. So, they're brothers. And man, that match was just something so beautiful to watch.
They're crisp, man. They're crisp.
There were spots that they took that I was just awestruck at the fact that they were even doing them. High impact, high risk, but man, the reward at the end of that match from those two guys was amazing. Definitely one of the best matches of the night. And on that Ring of Honor card, you saw Claudio Castagnoli and Jonathan Gresham open up the night for the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship, which we saw Castagnoli go over. And then not long after that, we dirt sheets and Twitter and Instagram and everything else, all the social media outlets and all the dirt sheets was letting us know that Gresham had asked for his release from AEW / Ring of Honor.
Well, and you could tell when he made his entrance, something was off mentally. He was checked out. Going back watching that match, he was checked out.
Yeah, and one thing I read was that he mentioned that the reason he didn't wear his octopus mask like he normally does, the reason he wasn't, the reason he didn't have the foundation flag, wasn't it called the foundation? The reason he wasn't waving that flag around that he normally carries, and I could be wrong in that name, but I think it's called the foundation, was because he had already cussed out Tony Khan pretty much furious, and had decided, hey, if I don't want to wrestle here anymore, so if I'm gonna come out, I'm coming out as Jonathan Gresham, myself, my true self. I'm not coming out as a gimmick. So,
yeah, I lost a lot of respect for Jonathan Gresham over this. I think he's, don't get me wrong, he's unbelievably talented. Looks like $1 million. At the end of the day, I think his height hinders him.
Yep.
In a lot of things, and I think that's just something that need to come to realization with. If he was a WWE guy, you know how he'd be booked there.
Oh, for sure.
He'd be squashed. There would be no push for somebody that's shorter than Rey Mysterio.
Well, at least previously. That could change now.
Maybe. I mean, Hunter's still a big dude. So I don't know. I'd be interested, but I lost a lot of respect. I think he really quit before really gave it a chance.
Yeah. Everything I read, basically, long story short, said he didn't like the direction that his character was going. He had his own vision for Ring of Honor, for the championship, for himself. TK was trying to say, hey, just trust the process, trust me, type of thing. And in the end, he didn't want to.
And what reason has Tony Khan given that we shouldn't trust him, or that Jonathan Gresham shouldn't be able to trust him?
No, I agree.
So I mean, you could have given it a shot. That's all. I mean, I would have had more respect if you gave it a shot, tried it, trusted the process, and if it didn't work, take your ball, go home another day. But to quit before, just because maybe you're losing the belt, at a Ring of Honor pay-per-view to a quote-unquote newcomer or a new signee, Claudio, I think it's a little over the top.
No, I agree. It's just it's one of those things that his people, part of his entourage or whatever, his camp, whatever you want to call it, have mentioned that he is currently said that he's done with wrestling. It's hard for me to believe that,
especially when he's got a match at Ric Flair's final match. He's on that card.
Oh,
so is he gonna not show?
I mean,
we'll see. Money talks.
Money does talk.
Come on.
So you had that. You had Mercedes Martinez retain against Serena Deeb. Pretty good match. It was what it was. I'm a fan of Mercedes Martinez's finisher submission.
The Brass City Sleeper.
Yeah, it's nice.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like the match may have went a little long, but pretty good match nonetheless. You also had, as mentioned earlier, Dragon Lee versus Roosh. That was just a banger of a match.
So many This Is Awesome chants.
Yes. I'd never seen Roosh wrestle, and I vaguely remember watching Dragon Lee wrestle. I think I may have seen Roosh the other night on Rampage, but I've never seen him wrestle in a big match. So I was quite impressed. You could definitely see the chemistry between the two brothers and everything. And, just kind of mentioning to you in conversation, hey, it'd be cool if you saw Dragon Lee join Los Ingobernables And you mentioned that he's actually part of one of those
incarnations.
So who
Makes
knows?
sense. Writings on the wall.
So you got that. The match of the night, before we get to it, we had Yuta and Daniel Garcia. And man, the innovation of the seatbelt pin.
So unique.
It's so unique. And I look at it and I'm like, you know what? I'm sitting here looking at it. I don't know that anybody could really get out of that if you like really locked it in.
It's such a believable move. Like, how do you counter it?
And you know, you had what I really loved about that is the story. The story that you've seen JAS and BCC, Jericho Appreciation Society, and Blackpool Combat Club, the past several weeks, couple months building, and you had that again in this match for the Ring of Honor Pure Championship, and it didn't disappoint. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Ring of Honor Pure rules. Some people aren't. I'm a fan. I like the fact that they only get 3 rope breaks. I think that's genius. Something else I learned about Ring of Honor that I wasn't unaware of. They have a 20 count, 17 count.
And no punch to the face in a pure match.
No punch to the face in a pure match. You can do slaps, but no punch to the face.
I do like that.
And, you know, I think that's just, it was good, really good match, really good match. You also had that night the Ring of Honor TV or television championship between Samoa Joe and Jay Lethal. Now,
yes, sir.
You were under the impression that Jay Lethal was going to come out on top.
Yeah.
And I was kind of under the same impression because we hadn't seen Joe in a while. And I thought it was because he was legit concussed. Our friend Jonathan later said, nah, he's actually been filming that his Metal Gear Solid role.
Mark.
Huh?
Mark.
Is that his name?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Mark. Hey, Mark. Hi, I'm Mark.
Oh, just kidding. I love Jonathan.
But no, he mentioned that, and dude, Joe looked good.
Oh, so good. He was well rested and just, I don't know, enjoyed his time well, I think.
And it's funny because we were sitting there talking back and forth during the match about how it was going to end, and I mentioned, Coquina Clutch. Coquina Clutch. He's going to catch. Lethal's going to try and do the lethal injection, and he's going to catch him in the Coquina Clutch. But that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Lethal hit the lethal injection, but then Joe reversed the pin into the Coquina Clutch, and both of us was like, "Wow,
that's brilliant! That's how it should be." It was awesome.
Really?
I think it's just unbelievably well done with 2 guys, 2 Ring of Honor guys, TNA guys. I mean, they have a lot of history together, long history.
Joe mentored.
Yes.
Lethal.
Yes, that's right. And I just think the storytelling, that's long-term storytelling at its finest. And it was just incredible.
And anything else before we get into the last match of the night?
Yeah, the Dalton Castle had a match with the boys. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, for the trios tag team match.
Yeah, which is awesome. That Ring of Honor has these belts.
The trios heavyweight, the trios tag team belts.
Which
Dalton Castle and the boys versus the
Righteous.
The Righteous.
Which I'm wondering, AEW, you keep hearing reports that they have plans for a trios title. So is that in addition to the Ring of Honor trios titles? Or do they just bring the Ring of Honor titles to AEW TV?
Or do they just make it the AEW / Ring of Honor trios title?
Yeah. I don't know what they're going to do, but I'm excited for that because after seeing this match live, I think trios titles, especially seeing how many trios teams there are in AEW and or Ring of Honor, I think it's awesome.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying this whole match I'm a Dalton Castle fan. I love the flamboyancy. I love the gimmick. I love it all. You know, the music, the entrance, the gear. I think he's very underrated.
One thing that, speaking of champions, Pac has been defending his belt overseas a good bit here recently, which I thought was pretty interesting. And he's one thing I have an appreciation for is they've been having him defend it against people of from other countries. It's been pretty interesting for the All Atlantic Championship. That was just a sidebar, but finally we get to the match of the year. We thought the first incarnation of FTR and the Briscoes was match of the year, but then they had their match this past weekend. We had found out in previous weeks that the Briscoes have signed an exclusive deal with Ring of Honor.
Awesome.
Big ups to Tony Khan for that.
Genius. New evil genius in town.
And man, you talking about that? It was a match that went on for close to an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Best 2 out of 3 falls. I thought Dax at one point had broken his neck. With the not the heart attack, the Legion of Doom,
the Doomsday Device.
Doomsday Device.
That first one was brutal.
He hit hard. Yeah, he landed basically on the side of his head. Well, let me rephrase that. He landed on his side and his head hit. Side of his head hit hard.
Can we not just appreciate they just won Caprice Coleman and Ian Riccoboni on commentary?
Oh, yes.
Oh, my God. They were absolutely amazing. Just some things that, that they, especially Caprice, were saying, the Briscoes will live to fight again, and just like a bunch of lines, man, that were just, he's so good.
He is.
And he is invaluable. Absolutely, undeniably one of the best parts of Ring of Honor. Just hearing those two together, unbelievable.
I tell you, I've enjoyed hearing him on Rampage a lot.
So good.
And I loved it. I love the Ring of Honor matches he calls typically on Dynamite as well. And being able to hear him and Ian Riccoboni together the entire night, and just you could hear the energy, you feel the energy, you could tell how good of a working relationship they have.
Ian said something that really hit it home. He said, Dax fought like an 8-year-old girl tonight.
Yep.
Oh, like, hello.
Yep.
That was so powerful, and just a testament to the storytelling and to Dax Harwood, who's probably, I honestly think
a wrestler
he
of the
year.
year.
Wrestler. You took the words right out of my mouth. He should be up for Wrestler of the Year. Unbelievable, man. It's just wrestling is such a good spot right now,
man. And FTR has my favorite finish move. Their finisher is my favorite finisher. The big rig.
It's amazing.
So good. And there was just so many really good spots. One spot was absolute genius. Was Dax just falls back, sticks his hand out.
Oh my! With a blind tag.
Blind tag.
Oh my gosh! I stood up and I was so impressed with that. It was just like it wasn't looking. It's all about ring awareness and psychology. And I don't remember what happened for him to just start falling backwards, but that was details, man. Ethan Case preaches it, and Palmetto Championship Wrestling is details, small details, and you couldn't get any smaller than that. But man, it had one of the most everlasting impacts of the match and in the memory of the match for me. I thought it was awesome.
One thing we didn't see was any and you know what? It's as a fan, you can get upset when you kind of expect that there may be this big return or whatever. But I was pleasantly surprised. There was nobody who made their big debut, big return, or anything because
it was unnecessary.
Listen, the way FTR closed the show,
they adhered to the code of honor, which I love.
Adhered to the code of honor. They praised the Briscoes, and everything, and it was just, man, it was a good thing to see.
I loved it. And of course, Blackpool Combat Club.
Yep.
So seeing that, I'm like, man.
Claudio and Yuta come out. They hold their belts up. They let down the ramp at FTR. And, what does that mean? Does it mean that, hey, it's good to be on top with you guys? Or, hey, we're really the top guys?
And then, Caprice said it to close the show. This is what Ring of Honor is all about. Yep. So just seeing all those belts held high, man. I don't know. I've always been a Ring of Honor fan, but I've never been like a passionate, invested fan. I know it's weird to say. Ring of Honor's always had amazing talent come out of it, but
I'm excited to see what's next. I'm excited to see what TV deals are coming up.
Oh my word!
I'm excited to see.
I forgot we don't even have that announced yet.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where this leads. And speaking of Tony Khan, who's the owner of Ring of Honor, we also know he's the owner of AEW. And Wednesday night this week they have Fight for the Fallen. Night one is tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on TBS. And then you have night two on Friday night, Rampage, 10 p.m. on TNT. And so far we have Ethan Page versus Leon Ruffin, Matt Sydal versus Lee Moriarty, Tony Nese and Smart Mark Sterling versus Swerve Strickland. My understanding is correct. You have Keith Lee's banned from ringside.
Yeah.
You have Brian Danielson's return match versus Daniel Garcia.
That's going to be very competitive, but that's a win for Brian Danielson.
God, who are you, Jim Ross?
I know. I'm so sorry.
Taz. It's Ruby Riott. That's sorry. Ruby Soho, Taz.
That's so funny how they try to cover that up. I love it.
Then you have the match that I'm hoping isn't just a hokey squash match, but you have Ricky Starks versus Danhausen.
Danhausen. That's just gonna be so good. And can we give credit to Ricky Starks?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Danhausen.
His impersonation, and talking to our mutual friend Jonathan the other day, he was like, I had to legit rewind it and watch it again just because I thought it was a voiceover.
Yep.
It was that incredible. And to me, going back, I've watched that segment a lot where he did the Danhausen part, but I have never seen a crowd that size just collectively in unison laugh.
Yes.
That they just laughed, and it was awesome. So
I feel like Ricky Starks should be called the anomaly. Ricky Starks.
That's so good.
And here's why. Not only is he really good in the ring and really good on the mic, he's a guy that he reminds me of a young Rock, Dwayne Johnson. His charisma, his look.
He reminds me of like when Rock did the Flex Cabana or the Rocky Maivia gimmick. Yep. It's very similar. I definitely can see he took a lot of.
But he's a guy who you're sitting here booing him, you sit there and you boo him and everything, and then he leaves the ring and he's high-fiving people. I'm like, so much for kayfabe.
I love Ricky Starks.
But I love it. I love someone. Oh, you were talking when we were having a conversation earlier, talking about how funny he is on social media and everything.
It's hilarious.
And how someone said that him and Powerhouse Hobbs should be called
Absolute Power.
Absolute Power. Yeah,
that's totally WWE writing.
Absolute Power.
But so interestingly, that match, Danhausen. I don't know why my gut is telling me they're going to put the belt on Danhausen, because I just see Taz like flipping out. Can you imagine?
Hookhausen.
Where's Hook been? Yeah, have Hook. So I foresee, like, I think long term. So I just, for some reason, see this belt that Taz gushes over on Danhausen, and Taz is like pissed and trying to get it back. There's so much that could be done with this. I think I'm going with the upset. I'm going Danhausen.
You then also have the AEW Women's Championship, Thunder Rosa versus Mia Yamashita.
Thunder Rosa's winning that. Thunder Rosa, I think she's absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
she's on another level.
Mel C, if you're listening, I appreciate you being so kind in Chicago.
Mel Cervantes.
Yep.
She rolled on her window and asked us something.
Yeah.
I don't know what she asked us, but it was so funny because we did a double take.
Holy crap, it's Thunder Rosa.
Until she turned her head. She had all the face paint on. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's Thunder Rosa.
Hey, awesome job, awesome job, Rosa. Oh, thank you guys. We love you.
And then the main event.
AEW Interim World Champion Jon Moxley will defend his title against Roosh.
Oh my God.
Gonna be such a good match.
Yeah, Moxley's gonna have to wrestle.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
BCC sets up BC. You know what? Side note. I think this is where we have the potential of Andrade finally getting into a big feud. Especially if we're able to get an additional one or two people part of Los Ingobernables to face Blackpool Combat Club. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see Roosh get a big push in Ring of Honor, with Andrade getting a big push in AEW. And then you have that Blackpool Combat Club across both brands, as well as Los Ingobernables.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
I think it can set up something good.
If it's done correctly, absolutely. I love Andrade, man.
So that's about it for this week. This week in wrestling. If you're checking out any local shows, Pro Wrestling Turbo is this weekend. You also have AML. Is that this weekend? I believe AML versus Create Your Own Narrative is this weekend.
Yeah, that is coming up. That's going to be absolutely exciting.
So yeah, whether you're in the Goldsboro, is that Goldsboro, North Carolina?
Mm-hmm. It's the 31st.
Goldsboro, North Carolina. They have two of them. They have AML Awakening, which is the 31st, and then they have the Future Stars, which is the 30th. So 2 shows being put on by AML and Create Your Own Narrative. If you're in the Goldsboro, North Carolina, go check them out. You also have...
And I have to put over AML here because, a lot of people don't know, but they were actually voted the best family entertainment in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And that is a huge honor and a huge win for the good people, Tracy and Brian of AML, who continue to put on unbelievable shows in the Winston-Salem area. So
WrestleCade every year.
Yeah, WrestleCade in Winston-Salem at the convention center there.
WrestleCade Mayhem coming up in November.
It's Black Friday weekend. Oh,
yep.
Always Black Friday weekend.
Yep.
So definitely give them a like, give them a follow. AML Wrestling.
Yeah, and then you, like I mentioned a while ago, Pro Wrestling Turbo in Greenville. Yeah, that Greenville. this Saturday. It's at the Spinning Jenny. I believe it's Saturday. I feel like that'd be right because it's a Spinning Jenny is a part of a. I believe Spinning Jenny is a bar. And I don't believe they're able to do alcohol sales on Sunday. Yeah, I'm not sure. Shane's looking it up. So pro wrestling.
Yeah, they're back on the 30th.
30th. That is Saturday. Yep. Saturday 30th. So you have Pro Wrestling Turbo in Greenville, South Carolina. You also have AML 30th and 31st. So you can head over to their social media pages and everything and find out more information on that.
I love how all these companies work together collectively to make sure they run on different shows to give everybody an opportunity to see something good. Can we just shout that out? I mean, to all these companies in North and South Carolina.
I'll tell you who won't do that. NXT 2.0 won't do that for All Out.
Oh, you heard about this.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are they, man?
So it was recently reported that NXT 2.0 is having an upcoming premium live event scheduled for the same day.
That's a pay-per-view, folks.
As AEW All Out. Do we see the name pay-per-view come back? Instead of premium live event.
Yes.
PPV instead of PLE.
I see a lot of things, a lot of these subtle, ridiculous changes coming back.
So All Elite Wrestling recently announced that their next pay-per-view All Out will take place on Sunday, September 4th at the Now Arena in Chicago. This will be the same weekend as WWE Clash at the Castle in Cardiff, Wales, which is the first major event for the promotion in the United Kingdom since SummerSlam in 1992.
That's going to be a big show.
Per a new report from Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics, WWE internally has the next NXT Premium Live event planned to take place on Sunday, September 4th, the same day as AEW All Out. However, my question, and I haven't read ahead enough, my question becomes the time in the UK versus obviously is different than the time here. So
yes,
it's a Sunday, but it's not Sunday. The report states that the start time and event time are currently unknown. NXT 2.0 event is expected to take place in Orlando, but it remains to be seen if it will emanate from the Performance Center. Oh, that makes no sense.
Yeah, so
they're doing it in Orlando for UK. Okay. Further dates on the event when they become available.
Yeah, that's all going to change. I don't think they go head to head. There's no way, especially the time difference. 8 p.m. Tuesday is
that was
6 hours ahead on Wednesday.
And that was kind of weird because it was saying Clash at the Castle in Cardiff, Wales, but then that said everything's supposed to take place in Orlando. So I'm not sure which one's supposed to be.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Well, Shane, if you don't have anything else, I believe that's going to wrap it up for Pop Crowds.
I mean, I think that's pretty much it. We summed it all up pretty well. Looking forward to an unbelievable week of wrestling starting tonight with Dynamite.
Yep. Guys, coming up in this next segment, you'll have Popcorn as we discuss Super Pets coming out this week, as well as Nope. What movie you don't want to see? Nope. More to come right after this. Guys, welcome back. This is Popcorn. Shane and I went and saw what we expected to be a pretty good movie.
It's Jordan Peele. I like Jordan Peele.
I haven't watched much of Jordan Peele's stuff personally, but I know he's been nominated for a couple of Grammys and everything else. And the movie we watched, someone asked me to watch it again. I would just repeat the title, and it would be Nope. I sure won't. Was it a bad movie? I tell you, you know what, Shane? Maybe I'll let you give your take on it first. Then I'll.
It was different, man. I don't know. Like, I mean, there's a lot of hidden messages in the movie. Good messages in the movie, and I just thought it was different. Just not what I expected it to be. I mean, we could talk about it now that it's been out for a little while. I thought the acting was incredibly well done. What's her name? Keke Palmer and Daniel Kaluuya. I think they worked incredibly well together. Something about, I don't know if it's a sci-fi, if it was like because it was a sci-fi Western type feel. I just couldn't get into it. I thought we had that, with like cowboys and aliens.
What a bad movie. Actually, it wasn't too bad. Daniel Craig was in that, right?
Yeah, Daniel Craig was in that one. But I don't know. It wasn't on the same level as Get Out. I mean, I don't think any movie Jordan Peele's done has been on the same level as Get Out. And not even remotely close. I probably wouldn't see it again. I just think it was kind of tacky. Doesn't seem like a lot of thought went into like the alien, I guess.
That the alien was a big. So
spoiler alerts, guys. Spoiler alerts.
Yeah, if you're planning on going to see this movie, we're going to try and keep this to 5 or 10 minutes, so you can fast forward if you have to. But the alien is what really kind of messed it up for me. When I hear aliens, there's a certain type of alien that I may expect, right? And if something's flying around looking like a particular thing, then listen, I get the creativity, but don't go off the. I mean, basically, you had a big butthole in the sky, right? Just flying around, but it was a mouth and a butthole at the same time. Kind of reminds me of some of our politicians. But
folks, this is no exaggeration here.
It
literally ate and crap.
It would suck everything up, and then it would poop everything out. And here's what I don't understand. So you had one part of the movie where it sucks up a plastic horse that's got the different color flags on it, like the the old flags you would see at a convenience store,
or grand opening flags.
You see that, right? And apparently it didn't like to try and digest stuff that was flaggy, and so the whole time it's flying around with this giant flag just coming out of its butthole and flying around, and it's like one of those things that I don't know. Has your dog ever eaten grass and had it, or string or something, had like a little piece of a turd hanging out? You had to pull the string out.
I've never done that.
Well, I mean, I've seen it happen, but that's exactly what it reminded me of. It reminded me of an animal walking around. Has eaten something it shouldn't have eaten. It's got this string just hanging out of its butthole, and you kind of poor Rover over there has got to figure out how to get that string out. And what's he do? Well, he has a whole buttload of diarrhea is what he had.
That sums up nope.
All over a house. Hey, he got the colon cleanse he needed. It got whatever. And then suddenly you have a alien figure that looks like sheets flapping in the wind on a breezy, springy day.
I was waiting for that big moment, man, where like the alien was not what we were seeing. Like it was something different. And like it was the ship. Like, folks, the ship is the alien in this movie. Like there's no alien. The ship is the alien. And it's very awkward, very weird.
It's like a giant sand dollar flying in the air.
Yeah. Weird. is different. Now, there's a cool scene in the movie where, you see like an alien figure and it looks like a panda bear. Now
where'd that panda come from?
I'm literally sitting next to Elliot and he's like, man, where'd that panda come from? And it was, you have to see the movie to see what it is, but it was a creepy scene. It was the best scene in the movie, I think.
I would agree. It was really creepy. It made the hairs on my arms, the hair on the back of my neck stand up. And I was seriously like kind of just weirded out the fact there was
that was the alien.
A panda just sitting there, and then come to find out it was just it was something completely different. But
that was their chance.
Yeah, it was. Like I said, some good moments. There were some funny moments.
That dang monkey.
Whew. Yeah, so this is Monkey Hand Productions is the Monkey Hand or Monkey Paw Productions, one of the two. It's one of the production companies behind it. And first scene of the movie, you see it opens up. Chimpanzee has like killed everyone on this TV show set, and it's like, what the heck? What is going on here? And
granted, they do tie it all together.
They tie it in, but even so, with the tie-in, you're still like, wait a second, what? And so, anywho,
all in all,
hey, if you like movies, just try and find something to do, go check it out. You've been warned, but nevertheless, we got some exciting movies coming out. Oh, I also went and saw Paws of Fury.
Yeah, I'm jealous
with my son.
Thanks for asking me, Dad.
But I'm gonna tell you, it was a very slow movie. My 7-year-old son said, "Dad, it really wasn't that good."
What?
I said, "You didn't think so?" He said, "No." He said, "It was just." He said, it was just it was slow."
Oh,
and hour 40, I think, is the length of the movie. Maybe hour 20, hour 40. But I mean, there's some good parts, but it's definitely not the kids blockbuster hit that we're getting this weekend, or that I'm anticipating we're getting this weekend. I plan on taking my son to see it. I can't go without him. If I go and watch it first without him, he may not love me.
Don't ever tell him
for a week. Hey, Dad, are you going to see Super Pets Uncle Shane?
No. Nope. Nope.
But I'm excited about this movie. I look at Crypto and Bat Dog, and I see Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Kevin Hart.
Absolutely.
And it's kudos to everyone involved with the making of that movie. It's so good how you're able to. Here's what's funny. Snowball in Secret Life of Pets is also Kevin Hart. And I also see Kevin Hart as Snowball.
Oh, I love Kevin Hart.
R.I.P. Ricky.
Yeah, R.I.P. Ricky.
So it's nevertheless, it's gonna be a good week. Good week for to watch a good movie with my boy. Who knows? Maybe I can convince my wife to that the three of us go. Maybe even take Ellery, four of us. Well, no, we can't do that Saturday. It's my dad's birthday. We'll figure it out. But yeah, so.
Have you started Stranger Things yet?
No. No, but I tell you what I have been watching. The Terminal List. Bruh.
Everybody says it's good.
Really good. Chris Pratt is in it, and he's a different role than I've ever seen him. And he's really good. Recently he's done a lot of the superhero or hero gimmick, but basically, for terminal list, the guy, he's a Navy SEAL, comes back from war, and he's finds out that he's got a brain tumor, but somewhere, but there's times where he's blacking out or can't remember. And long story short, his family is murdered, or else he might have killed them. Deep down inside, he knows he didn't kill them. So then it's just finding out, hey, what's going on? Yeah, he's having conversations with people who are dead, or at least he thinks they're dead. So, or at least he's been told that they died.
Definitely sounds like something I'd watch. Definitely sounds like it intrigued me.
Yeah, so it's good, and it's on Amazon Prime, and from what I've seen, it's not one of those where you have to wait for all these for the episodes. So, but yeah. What else we got
for movies? I think that's pretty much everything. My big thing was to talk about Nope and what's upcoming. DC League Super Pets. I think I'm pretty stoked to see that.
Anything coming out the week after that?
Bullet Train definitely is coming out.
Oh yeah. Brad Pitt movie.
I'm going to give it a shot. I think it's something we talk about often. With movies, and I think I'm going to give that a go. I just saw a recent trailer with it, and it definitely digs into it a little bit deeper. So it intrigues me. It looks like it's got that.
I'm excited to see Bad Bunny. Like legit.
I think it's got that little bit of. I don't know why it reminds me of a Mr. and Mrs. Smith type feel.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have a
woman in Brad Pitt.
Well, exactly. You have a Brad Pitt main character, a woman who seems to be his handler or whatever it may be, and it seems like a CIA double agent type of movie.
I'm looking forward to it. But nothing I other than Stranger Things. That's I'm kind of middle of binge watching season 2 now with the wife.
Yeah, guys, if there's any movies that you may have watched or think we should maybe want us to review, hey, shoot them our way. We love movies.
Yeah, we love movies, old or new.
Tell us, for sure.
We'll watch it.
There's a couple that I know Shane's told me I need to watch. So, yeah, shoot them our way, and be on the lookout for some ways to help add to our content. You can go to ko-fi.com/the Lowdown Podcast. You can become a subscriber and support us monthly. We greatly appreciate it. And we have 3 tiers. You have Pop Peers, Pop Casters, and Pop Stars. They range anywhere from I think $10 to $35 a month. And what that allows is we're able to provide you discount codes to our Lowdown Popcast merch store. We're going to be creating a mailing list so you can get direct messages from us regularly. We've got stuff being created like groups that you can be part of depending on what tier you subscribe to, and as well as contribute to the show. Special shout outs and everything else. So go on over to ko-fi.com/the Lowdown Popcast. Check that out. We love to partner with you, and we just appreciate your time. Last but not least, we're going into one of our most controversial segments of the show, or it can be. And Guys, it's time to pop culture.
I mean, let's start in the world of the NFL. Let's start something positive, man. How about the GOAT getting better? You know, Julio Jones.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Oh my Lord, 33-year-old Julio Jones taking the passes from 45-year-old Tom Brady.
Man, the Titans are just getting worse. Seems like.
Oh my Lord, don't tell
Jonathan that. Sorry, Jonathan.
But yeah,
Titans.
Let's cut to the chase here. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers just punched their ticket to the NFC Championship. So I mean, without a doubt, I mean, the most formidable tandems, I think, in NFL history. I think this is right up there with, I don't know, Tom Brady, Randy Moss.
Listen, you've got Perriman coming back from ACL.
Yep.
You've got Mike Evans.
Oh.
You've got now Julio Jones.
Julio Jones is the one. I'm sorry. He's number one. Sorry, Mike Evans. But
who else? I mean, who else was on their wide receiver core last year? I know Antonio Brown was for a short minute, but you had some other names on there. That Gronk is gone. We know that. You still got Cameron. You still got Drake.
Don't forget the running back, Leonard Fournette. Yeah. Bro, this team is disgusting. They could probably set the NFL record for points. I mean, it's going to be amazing. And I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. It hurts me to say this, but, you know, it is what it is.
But, I mean, you still have the Rams.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm sorry. You got OBJ, did he resign?
He's trash. Odell Beckham Jr. is trash.
Dude, you're only saying that because he's a New York Giant.
That was years ago. OBJ's trash. Keep going. Who else they got?
You get the best wide receiver in football right now.
Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
I do love Cooper Kupp. But that's one.
Sonny Michel. You get Sonny Michel running back.
He's from Georgia.
Yeah. Matt Stafford.
Trash. keep naming him trash. But no.
Aaron Donald's back.
Best defensive player of all time.
Or Donaldson. Donaldson.
No.
Joe Burrow had emergency surgery on his appendix today.
Oh yeah. Joe Burrow, trash. My new segment.
I like the Bengals. What do you think about some of these new helmets and uniforms coming out?
I had a long conversation with that the other day. They look absolutely unbelievable. I love some of them are kind of throwbacks, you know, to like the 60s era, and some of them are kind of tweaked. I think it brings kind of a breath of fresh air, a little bit of new life. I'm all for it. You know, I love Dallas's. So.
Here's what I see. Oh, so they got a new one?
Well, it's the white one with the blue star. It's a throwback.
Oh, trash. So I say that because the Bengal Tiger, obviously is their mascot. So they have their alternate helmet is a white tiger helmet. So instead of orange and black, it's white and black. But one thing I'd like to see, you ever seen the Bengals logo with the bee and the tiger's face in it?
Yeah.
I'd like to see a solid black helmet with that Bengals bee and the tiger. That's what I would like to see.
I love just different, you know, just something to change it up a little bit.
I love it when college football teams do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're a Carolina Panthers fan or not, they've got a black helmet this year. That is disgusting.
Yeah, it looks amazing. Not gonna lie,
I
hate the Panthers.
A solid black. It's a black helmet with black tops, black bottoms, black socks. Good job, Tepper. And looks like you still don't know who your quarterback's going to be. You got good old Sam Darnold and former Cleveland Brown quarterback Baker Mayfield.
I like Baker.
I like Baker too. I'm hoping he does well. Only time will tell. Matt Rule's offense. We'll see. You also have currently there's rumors Jimmy Garoppolo might end up going to Tampa.
Yeah, somebody's got to follow up the GOAT.
Being a backup to the GOAT. So you have that right now, but there's also rumors. I heard earlier today that San Francisco 49ers have definitely said no. Trey Lance is our guy. Jimmy, love you, mean it. See you. So see what happens there. But you got several. Heck, you got Mitch Trubisky looking to start possibly in Pittsburgh, but hey, Kenny Pickett, that guy. Don't be surprised if Kenny Pickett isn't their starter pretty quickly. Graduate from Pittsburgh, also a Pittsburgh Steeler now. He's familiar with the stadium, familiar with the facilities. He's a Pittsburgh guy. I think you got a good story there brewing. What's your Dallas Cowboys going to do?
Lose.
Trash.
I'm definitely thinking it should be a 10-7 now season.
I think I got 11. I think I got 11-6, 12-5.
Man, we'll see. Well, that'll win us a division, but
Kyler Murray's the highest paid quarterback in the NFL now.
It's gotten to the point where, like, dude, I expect disappointment all the time.
In other news,
what's going on? Anything good around the world?
I thought I saw something the other day. What was it? Recently it came out that there's over 70% of current Democrats want anyone but Biden.
That's his own party.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Here's my opinion on that. So Joe Biden, I think we can all collectively agree, was the answer to beat Trump. And they beat Trump with Joe Biden, right? So if you're going to choose somebody different, who are you going to choose? Who do you have that can beat Donald Trump?
Again.
So Joe Biden, in my opinion, he's earned the right to be the Democratic nominee. He's proven that he apparently was the only Democrat that could beat Donald Trump, because Hillary couldn't do it. And who's any more synonymous with the Democratic Party than Hillary Clinton?
It's true.
So if Joe Biden says he's going to run, by God, this Democratic Party better do something that they're not used to doing and unify behind their nominee. Kamala Harris, she's not going to beat Donald Trump.
Kind of forever.
Oh. Cory Booker, not going to beat Donald Trump. That's Spartacus. I don't see anybody. My most preferred Democratic candidate is Joe Manchin out of West Virginia. I think he's the most centered person in the Democratic Party.
AOC,
no, not a chance.
AOC was recently in an interview, and they asked, they straight up asked her if President Joe Biden would be going for a second term. And her response was, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I like to focus on the now.
They're not behind him.
They're not Biden him.
Biden time.
That's exactly what they're doing.
So I don't know. And here's the thing: the American people are people of now, not of what was in the past. Everybody's focused on when they go to vote in November, the midterms. they're going to be voting based on what's going on in the world that's affecting them at that very moment. They're not going to be thinking about, COVID. They're not going to be thinking about whatever else was happening back in the 2020 election. They're going to be thinking about inflation. They're going to be thinking about gas prices. They're going to be thinking about the inability to feed their families. They're going to be thinking about,
which are coming down, and we can thank the White House for that.
Yes, and I'm a believer. So that's a whole other conversation. I am kind of taking me down a rabbit hole, ball. But I am a believer. Let me say,
if you take blame, then you can receive credit.
I don't believe the president really has any personal effect on the price of my gas. I don't believe the president single-handedly controls that.
But if you say, "Hey, it's not my fault," but then it go down, you can't say, "Hey, look what we did."
Exactly, and that hurt him a lot. And granted, it's not Biden tweeting that, but it's. I think his people are like ploying against him to make sure he doesn't get elected. But you cannot say you're not the reason for something and then take blame or take what's the word I'm looking for?
Receive credit for fixing it.
Yeah, take credit for fixing it. That there is nothing more idiotic and hypocritical than that. But that's just my opinion. But it's an interesting time. I think we're in for. Here's my prediction, based on what we're seeing let's call this August. We're 3 months away from midterms. I think we're going to see, again, and a Democrat analyst put it really bluntly. They said, polls can be wrong, but they all can't be wrong.
Sure.
And all the polls are not looking good for President Biden, and they're not looking good for Democrats' chances in the Senate or the House. So here's what I foresee. My gut tells me we are going to get, we're going to have a GOP win in the Senate and the House. You're going to have a lame duck president for 2 years. I mean, literally can't do nothing. There's nothing the president will be able to do. Because they're not going to work with him. It's just not going to happen. They're not even be willing to work with him. And then you can move on to 2024. I mean, whether it's, albeit, it could be Governor DeSantis, it could be Donald Trump, it could be somebody else.
This is hypothetical, but what if President Biden decided, say GOP wins House and Senate, and then President Biden says, "Hey, you know what? I'm just going to do whatever I got to do to get stuff passed." So he starts, making more conservative.
He's going to have to give a little, take a little. It's going to have to happen to get his agendas done.
Right.
But I don't know. As I was saying,
could you see a flip flop in agenda?
Well, haven't we seen that with him already?
Well, touche.
As he's continued to conform to his changing party, let's call a spade. Yep. He's completely opposite of some things he said in the past. People can attribute that to people's thoughts changing on things. I don't contribute to that at all. It's the fact that the way of his party's changed.
The power of influence.
Yeah, and
I get it.
I don't want to use the word pandering, but
panda-ing.
Yeah. Nope. So I do foresee a GOP take over this House and the Senate. I do foresee a lame duck 2 years for President Biden, and I think 2024 is wide open. I don't know what they're going to do. I've heard rumors of Hillary Clinton. I don't know.
Do we see Michelle Obama come back?
I don't think so. I'm not really thinking that she's one that can. No, granted, I like Michelle Obama, but I don't see her as one that can win in a general election.
Really?
I don't. I don't know. It's just not my. I don't know. You're talking. I don't know. I just don't see her winning in a general election.
Didn't President Obama recently come out and speak against Biden?
I'm not sure.
Months back.
That'd be news to me. They're so close, man. I don't know. It's just interesting times. But again, going back to my point, I think the vote's going to be based on, all right, why is my gas, like, who's responsible for my gas being this much? Who's responsible for the rising cost of foods? Who's responsible for the ridiculous rent and house prices? And, who's in power when this is happening? That's what the voters are going to do. Who's not necessarily who's at fault, but who's in power that's, quote unquote, in their words, letting this happen. And that's what the people are going to vote for. Whether it makes a change or not, I don't know. I can't predict anything, but that's what the American people are going to do.
Come on, man.
And here's the real danger. I really think I think we enter a danger if say Donald Trump does run for president again in 2024 and wins, and you have a GOP House and Senate. Now you got something different here. You have a fully conservative-leaning Supreme Court as well. Mark my words, if Donald Trump specifically becomes president of the United States in 2024 and has a GOP Senate, a GOP House with a Supreme Court that leans conservative, take this to the bank, you are going to see the biggest
overhaul
of policy change. Not saying I agree with it. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying it's going to be Donald Trump's revenge tour. And you could say goodbye to Obamacare. John McCain, remember the famous thumbs down? He killed it. I mean, he was able to preserve Obamacare, which I think Obamacare is very important for several reasons. That's a whole nother conversation. But if Donald Trump is president and everything happens like I foresee it happening and like the polls foresee it happening, you're gonna see it gutted. Obamacare will be gone. You're gonna see a bunch of others. That's just one thing I can think of on the top of my head. But you're gonna see a lot of policy change. What else? What other things could change?
There's all sorts of things that could change, but in regards to healthcare, I understand the importance of healthcare and having it. I'm grateful for the mandate being removed that you had to have healthcare. I'm one who tends to believe that the free market drives down costs for healthcare. And anytime you have the government running a private sector or involved in a private sector, such as healthcare, you have government subsidized Blue Cross Blue Shield, government subsidized insert big insurance carrier's name here. I don't think those help. I think those hurt when it comes to cost. Now I understand there's a number of individuals who are able to get Obamacare and get it relatively inexpensive or even free. However, I also know that there's small business owners who have to pay $3,000 to $4,000 a month to get coverage for two people.
I know small business owners that have closed their doors because of the cost of insurance premiums.
So if you, for me, you can tell me how important Obamacare has been and how it's helped you, but when it comes to my family, I've seen it do nothing but cost my parents more and more money. So I'm hoping they are able to figure that out one day, some way, somehow. But you have a free market. I understand. Hey, I think if you get Trump back, this whole taxing the billionaire and stuff, taxing the millionaire, taxing the billionaire. Hey, I'm for tax breaks for the billionaires and the millionaires. You know why? because they're the ones paying me. And if they're not having to pay these extreme,
you're pro trickle down economics.
Yeah, I absolutely love trickle down economics. The more money my CEOs and COOs are able to make, the ones who pay me, the less taxes they have to pay. That means there's a chance that I can make. It doesn't mean I will, but it's not. I'm not talking about equal opportunity of outcome. I'm just talking about equal opportunity. If the opportunity is there that they can pay me more, then I can work my tail off and hope for the best. But if the opportunity is not there for them to pay me more, then it's a mute point. So,
how about in other news? Little brother Chris Cuomo is coming back to mainstream news. He's going to News Station following his ousting at CNN. How about that? Following numerous scandals that plagued him and led to his firing last year from CNN, Chris Cuomo appeared on News Station in his first interview, saying that he's going to be hosting a primetime show for the network in the fall. He says, quote, "I'm going to come to News Station and I want to build something special here. I've decided I can't go back to what people see as the big game. I don't think I can make a difference there. I'm going to do the job. I'm going to go where the news is, and I'm going to try very hard to be fair. And I want to do it here."
Well, yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
So your last name's Cuomo.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all I need now. I'm from New York. I can say that.
Guys, we got about 5 minutes left, if that.
This is actually an awesome episode.
Yeah.
A lot of fun with Ref Stache Chris Wiggins and talking wrestling and
couple of things just to hit one last time. Remember, go check us out, www.thelowdownpopcast.com. You can follow us at The Lowdown Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Also, remember to like, share, subscribe, hit the little bell so you can get notifications and everything when we post stuff, as well as check out our merch store. That is store.lowdownpopcast.com. You can also, when you visit thelowdownpopcast.com, you can click on the merchandise link up at the top, and it'll take you there. We've got some logos of some designs, t-shirt designs of our logo, as well as some other designs that we will be releasing. However, in order to get some of those releases, you will need to make sure you are a subscriber. The way to do that is to go to ko-fi.com/The Lowdown Podcast and be sure to become a subscriber to us. Become a subscriber. We have 3 different tiers, and from there you'll be able to choose which one you prefer to do. Guys, big picture, we want to get to the point that we're able to maybe provide some wrestling tickets, maybe provide a trip. The more we grow, the more we're able to do for you, our listeners. And we just appreciate all that you do for us and taking this journey with us. So follow us at The Lowdown Podcast on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. You can also like, follow, share www.thelowdownpopcast.com and go to store.thelowdownpopcast.com and check out our merchandise. And last but not least, ko-fi.com/The Lowdown Podcast, and be sure to become a subscriber. Check out the different tiers. We'd love for you to partner with us. Got anything, Shane?
no, man, this is actually probably my favorite episode we've done. I had a great time tonight.
Well, guys, we hope that you continue to enjoy these podcasts, and we hope to continue to get better, not only for ourselves but for you guys as well. This has been the Lowdown Podcast. As always, pop crowds, popcorn, pop culture. I'm Elliot.
And I'm Shane.
And we'll see you, or you'll hear us, or hey, who knows? Whatever.
It's so early.
Just like next show, hey, keep it popping.